Most sales leaders think they have a training problem when they don't. They actually have a post-training execution problem. Reps leave training absolutely motivated. They nod along, they role play once, then they get back into the real deals and everything falls apart. Old habits creep in, follow-ups get weak, decision makers stay vague, and leadership wonders why performance didn't stick. Here's the truth most people aren't ready for. In 2026, and arguably for the last couple of years, training alone is absolutely obsolete. The teams that win won't just train reps, they'll give every rep a personal AI execution coach. And most companies are about to do this completely wrong. So let's talk about what's actually changing, where the danger is, and how to do it the right way. Independence isn't just about where you go, it's about how well you live when you get there. That's why I am genuinely excited about Indie Stove, because it completely changes what outdoor and off-grid cooking looks like. Indie Stove is an ultra-portable, collapsible stove that fits basically anywhere, but performs like a real kitchen tool. It heats up in minutes, holds up in wind, rain, and rugged terrain, and works with multiple fuel sources, propane, butane, or wood pellets. So you're never limited by where you are and what's available. But here's where it gets fun. This isn't just about boiling water. With Indie Stove's modular accessories, you can actually cook. The workspace stack gives you sturdy side sleeves, so your cookware, ingredients, and tools are right there when you need them most. No balancing acts, no chaos. The skewer stack lets you grill kebabs, vegetables, or skewered meals evenly with non-sag skewers designed for real heat control. And yes, people are baking chocolate chip cookies off the grid. Fresh cookies in the middle of nowhere. That is not survival, that's luxury. Indie Stove is built for people who want freedom without giving up quality. Real meals, real control, real independence. Whether you're camping, overlanding, prepping for emergencies, or just choosing a life that isn't tied to outlets and crowded kitchens. And because you're a Revenue Rascals listener, you get something extra. Use code Revenue Rascals at checkout and you'll receive a free workspace stack with your purchase of a stove, valued at $120. That's Revenue Rascals at indiestove.com. Because independence should taste incredible. It's time for Rascal Ramp, unfiltered truth, straight talk, no fluff. This is the deal. Sales enablement has been stuck in the same loop for years. More playbooks, more content, more LMS logins no one uses. More enablement initiatives that don't show up when it actually matters. Mid-deal. And now AI shows up. So what do most teams do? Well, they hand reps ChatGPT or Gemini or Cloud with absolutely no guardrails, no prompting, no priming, no frameworks, no standards. That is absolutely not enablement. That's chaos with a login. AI is not the strategy. Execution is, like it's always been. But now AI is here to support execution in a brand new, powerful way that you're going to want to lock in. What's changing isn't that reps are using AI, they already are. What's changing is how it needs to be used and controlled from a company level. Sales enablement is moving from these static playbooks to on-demand coaching inside execution. And here's the part that no one is saying out loud. If your reps are using AI without being trained how to think, AI will make them worse, not better. This is why I've completely shifted of how I'm designing sales training, not just lessons, not just role play, but lesson, role play, AI prompts, and real-world execution. That's the new standard. Welcome to Why This Works and Why It Doesn't. Real strategies, real results, no sugarcoating. All right, I've been training for almost 10 years at this point. I have seen everything from founder-led sales to building your first boutique sales team, to scaling a sales team, to going into a non-tech company that's actually never trained their quote-unquote salespeople, because they're not really salespeople, into salespeople. So I've seen it all. I would be surprised if there's something out there that I haven't trained on, that I haven't seen, that I can't anticipate what bad things would happen if sales training has gone wrong. And so that's why you should listen to me, because I'm going to tell you exactly what could go wrong, how to prevent it, and how to do this right for your business. Now, everything I'm going to talk about today applies to founder-led sales all the way up to the enterprise seller. This applies to everyone, anyone listening. If you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, a founder, an internal revenue leader, you've got this. All right, let's jump in. This is the deal. So why doesn't traditional training work anymore? I mean, we've been doing it for eons, right? We come in for a couple of days, we're going to train, everyone's going to be amazing. They're going to go back to their desks out in the field, and they're just going to close like the best closer in the world. But the thing is that this just doesn't work anymore. The world is so fast. There are new ways to do things every single day. And these types of static trainings that aren't supported with new age technology like AI are just completely irrelevant. Like, I remember when I first started doing sales training, every 4 to 6 months, I would go and update playbooks, trainings, anything else that I had put out into the world that people were still paying for that I needed to update. Now it's like every 2 weeks. And you can't keep up with that. That's not practical for a couple of reasons. Is one, the facilitator and the educator like myself cannot keep up with that. Just not going to happen. Two is no rep, no seller underneath the sun is going to want to relearn things every 2 weeks. It's just the way it is. So the old model is just not working that great. And, I can go on a whole tangent here if you'd like about the course economy that is online. The biggest names are shutting down their courses, from Amy Porterfield to Jenna Kutcher. And what does this tell you even outside of sales enablement? Well, outside of sales enablement, the traditional education model is also completely broken and will be completely changed over the next 18 months. I like to think of myself as a trailblazer, an early adopter. So all of my clients that have been receiving sales training are getting it in the new way. So let's talk about what that looks like. But before we move on to what it looks like, let's be honest about the flaws of the current model that I would say 95% of sales trainers are still doing. Here we go. So first of all, playbooks don't live where reps sell. That is the number one problem. They might review them, study them, but they are not the right-hand man or woman to help them close anymore. PDFs, well, they don't show up mid-call to help. Coaching doesn't scale evenly. Like, this is just the way that it is. I mean, it just doesn't happen that way anymore. And this is the other deal. Managers absolutely cannot listen to every single call and provide feedback. Now, I realize there are so many different platforms out there that have followed along with Gong to help solve this problem, but I still sell. I'm a CRO. I'm a sales trainer. And I just know the truth that reps are not going back to listening to a bunch of their calls. Managers aren't going in there to double down. These things fall along the wayside. And unless we hold our company and our culture accountable to at least doing some of this, we're not going to see the impact of call reviews and trainings like we'd all wish we could. So this is the deal, is that training creates the awareness, the education, but not the behavior change. So for example, A beautiful model that I love right now that has pivoted into this is a hybrid shift from what we're talking about traditionally. So, what I love is 6 weeks of virtual sales training. Okay. Easy for everyone to do. There's assignments. You work together. I personally use the Accelerate platform, which I'll make sure that I link in the comments below. They're one of my clients. I'm his CRO, and I just absolutely love this platform for sales training, meetings, collaboration, execution. It's amazing. So, what are we talking about right here? What I'm talking about is you execute the trainings, you provide the homework, you provide what we're going to talk about in a little bit, which is custom AI prompts. So now you have AI to help you in the execution of the training. Then, after 6 weeks is done, we'll meet in person for a couple of days to do role play, integration, accountability, and ensure that the new skills are actually adopted. Because at the end of the day, what is the point of training and education if it actually doesn't change the behavior? So, why AI reinforced training actually really works super well. This is the deal. When it's done right, AI becomes a mirror, a coach, and a reinforcement engine, but only if it's built on your frameworks. I have had quite a lot of fun using non-primed AI tools, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini. And if I ask a very, very basic sales question, every platform is going to give a completely different answer. I don't even agree with half their answers. And they're pulling from whatever they can find on Reddit or the open Google search or wherever else all of the sources are coming from, because ChatGPT is not pulling from your own frameworks, how you want your sellers to act for what you're selling. So if you don't have this primed within the platform, and this is what's going to happen, is your reps are just going to use their personal accounts that aren't primed properly, and poof, now you have a seller that's doing things they shouldn't be doing, and it's actually damaging the sales cycle and reducing conversions. So to double click on what I was saying before, this is what the model should look like now. First of all, you cannot skip the foundation. You can't just go straight into ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud, whatever it is, and start using it and expect the results that you want. What you need to do is the lessons, the education is still mission critical and should be the foundation. Now, another thing I want to talk about. So I have owned my boutique sales training and consulting firm for a long time, and all of my trainings are customized to every single company. And that is a really important piece of the puzzle, because when you invest in sales training, if it's just copy and paste, here's the ideology, now you get to figure out how it applies to your business, I really, really caution you for investing in those types of trainings. They're just not going to have the behavioral change impact to revenue and sales that you want. So, first of all, you have your lessons and your foundation customized to your organization. Now, the frameworks are going to range depending on what you've decided to instill into your business. There's so many different types of sales trainings. There's BANT, there's MEDIC, there's Challenger. I mean, I could go on forever in your day. If you've worked with me before, you're familiar with AVP, you may have an internal process. So that's why the lesson is really important. We have to have that. So for example, if you're a ChatGPT user, you create a project and you upload the lessons, the foundations, everything that's typically found like in your LMS, for example. And that will start to educate and prime your bot. In Gemini, then you create gems. So there's all of these different ways to reserve the memory within your bot to help you and to see the success that you need. AI, once again, it does not replace the fundamentals, it amplifies it. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the AI prompts. Now, there is probably a great healthy debate over AI prompts and how you should be using this with your sellers. Now, first of all, you need to be compliant. So if you're in like the healthcare world or any other law or anything that's regulated, like make sure you're using whatever AI is appropriate for, your risk level or what you're allowed to do. So what I like to do, the lesson accompanied by an AI prompt. So I'll give you an example. So I teach acknowledge, validate, peel as my primary communication method in all of my sales skills training, but I adapt it for every single company. Okay. Now, the reason why this is important is, let's say I'm teaching objection navigation. And objection navigation, first you need to understand the core objections and then also the objections that are specific to the business that you're training. First, you have to understand that. You need to understand what objections are. And I could go on for days and days and days on this, but I'm not going to. But once that's part of the lesson, the AI prompt says, hey, now help me create responses now that you know the way that I want to handle objections. So my clients will upload AVP and all of the decks I created specifically for the organization. So now when a rep gets stuck, when they go to AI, it's actually supporting an answer that is relevant and in alignment with the way that the company wants the seller to act and behave. On brand, execution, and sales skills. So what else do I love about the execution layer of AI prompts? This is the thing. You have to keep going back to prompt it, right? To get the answer that you want. So what does this do? It reinforces the training language and the lessons. It's also great for coaching after real sales calls. Now, you might be listening and you likely use a platform that may do this already for your sales calls. However, I haven't seen one that I absolutely love and think is pretty darn perfect. So I suggest scraping the transcript, throwing it in, and using your custom prompt. Okay. The next thing is what AI is really good at is identifying the gaps that the reps didn't notice. So you have said training, now you have real life. The rep asks for feedback and the feedback's going to be like, hey, this is the gap that you didn't hit based on this training, based on the way that you're supposed to be closing or progressing a deal. It's super powerful. The people who want to hit quota, you have to refine these gaps. You have to find the gaps and close them. Literally, close the gaps, close the deal. And another thing is that you can do, depending on your integrations, is you can compare your performance to top reps so that you can continually try to improve yourself. Now, here's some additional examples outside of objection handling that are really simple prompts, but I'm going to warn you right now, these will only work if your chat or your AI bot or whatever you're using is primed for your company. But the good news is that you should listen to the rest of the episode because I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that for free for your business. So here's an example prompt. Review this call script using MEDDIC, really common way of selling. Where did I fail to confirm the economic buyer, for example? Number 2, rewrite my follow-up clarifying next steps without sounding aggressive using Michelle's Terpstra's AVP model. Next, what question should I have asked to uncover the decision authority? These are so powerful. And the reason why I love this is that if you've ever worked closely with sellers, and if you're listening, you probably have, we're wired completely different than any other brain on this planet. And there's a lot of ego involved in selling, but healthy ego. However, it's really hard for even people with healthy egos or any performance level of a seller to ask for feedback from a manager or a leader, or, even participating in role play can feel extremely uncomfortable. So if you allow the rep to self-coach using this model, they're going to take advantage of it a lot more because there is no threat to their ego and they're able to get the answers whenever they want it instead of waiting to talk to someone or going and waiting for something to transcribe or whatever it can be, right? It just allows them the time flexibility to do it at 9 p.m. at night when they're like, okay, I just got this email response. How am I going to handle this? Okay. So this is the deal. So the rep isn't guessing anymore and they're learning in real time, which is so incredibly powerful. Now, the great debate is if you should role play first or lean on the AI prompts. I personally feel like the AI prompts, when done correctly, is the second level of learning. So the first level of learning is the lessons and the foundations. The second is the execution support through the AI prompts. Now that you feel comfortable, you know what you're doing, you've seen some real life examples, now it's time to double down, double click, whatever you want to say, on role playing. Role playing is not going anywhere, and it's truly the skill transfer because you don't want AI to be a crutch forever. You want AI to help execute the education, right? But at the end of the day, you want all of your sellers, or if you're a founder listening to this, you want to have that skill transfer so that it becomes your identity. Listen, the way that I sell right now, the things that I know absolutely never occurred to me in my first 2 years of selling because you have to wait for that skill transfer to happen. And that happens live. It happens messy. It happens in real life objections that aren't the top 5 that everyone hears. And it happens in real deals. So if reps can't say it out loud without the AI crutch, then you haven't finished doing your job as a sales trainer. So what are the risks of doing this wrong? Like I've told you how you have to change it. I think it's absolutely non-negotiable. And I think there's a couple of different listening profiles here on Revenue Rascals. So you could be a sales trainer listening to this and kind of freaking out a little bit about how much you need to change. 2, you could be an internal revenue leader and your head's kind of bouncing around right now of should you hire someone like us to come in and support you? Or are you going to do it yourself, etc.? And then you also are a founder yourself or a seller yourself. And you're like, okay, yeah, like I want to take these steps, but I don't want to do it wrong. So this is the deal. This is the risks of doing it wrong. And this really, really matters. If you don't design this intentionally, reps outsource their thinking permanently to AI. Generic prompts create generic sellers. So it's a waste of time and energy. It's not going to get you more sales, increase retention, have more reps hit quota. And AI, if the wrong answer comes out, it's going to reinforce bad habits. Now, I do not teach bro selling. I don't teach bro closing. I don't like unethical tactics. So this is the deal. If you allow a seller to go rogue and you believe in my methodologies of ethical selling, they're going to be locking in stuff that's probably not very ethical. You have no idea what AI is going to tell them to do or what Reddit thread AI pulled for to give you the answer to your seller that's completely wrong or off brand. The other thing is if you're always relying on AI, your curiosity dies. It really, really does. You have to be careful to not let AI take over your thinking. And sales quality will absolutely drop. So you're going to have basically the reverse of what you wanted, which is an AI-enhanced selling machine. So AI should coach, not close. I'm just going to say it. Now, some people will argue with me that the sellers are going away forever. And the people who say that aren't selling. They don't see what's happening out there, and you are wrong, okay? AI should coach, not close. Period. If your reps are asking, what should I say? You've already lost. The right question is, where did I miss the opportunity and how do I fix it next time? All right, rascals, let me ask you this. How much money have you wasted replacing shoes, sneakers, or even bags that could have lasted way longer if only you'd been taken better care of them? I know for me, running from meetings to kids' activities, life gets messy fast. And that's why I always have Jason Mark Quick Wipes on hand. Jason Mark is trusted care to help you get the most out of what you wear. They're not just about cleaning. They're about protecting what you love while protecting the planet. Their wipes are now 100% plant-based and plastic-free, made from renewable lyocell fibers. They're individually wrapped so you can toss them in your bag, your car, or like me, your kids' backpacks. And it's not just convenience. Jason Mark is part of the worldwide B Corp movement, meeting the highest standards for social and environmental impact. They're EPA Safer Choice certified, so you know the formulas are safe for your family. And their products are USDA, bio-based and certified biodegradable. That means no harmful junk like PFAS or VOCs. Just high-performance care that keeps your stuff looking fresh while doing right by the planet. Personally, as a busy mom and entrepreneur, Quick Wipes are my favorite. They've saved my sneakers from coffee spills, playground dust, you name it. One wipe and I'm ready to walk into my next meeting looking sharp. So here's the deal. Go to jasonmark.com and use promo code Revenue Rascals at checkout for 25% off your order. One time per customer. Again, that's jasonmark.com, code Revenue Rascals. And remember, this podcast is free thanks to sponsors like Jason Mark. I'm ungating sales strategies people pay me six figures for. So go support them, grab your Quick Wipes or your favorite product, and keep your kicks looking fresh. You're in the coaching corner where we stop talking and start taking action. Alrighty, so we have question number 1. How do I stop reps from becoming dependent on AI? Such a good question. I'm going to reinforce things that I've already said in the podcast for this specific one. This is the deal. Train reps to analyze, not copy, is number 1. 2, require reps to review AI output before sending. Huge one. Anchor prompts to frameworks. Super critical. Don't allow them to go rogue on this one. They need to be applying the frameworks to actively think. Don't let AI do all of the work. Managers, leaders, you need to jump in and audit this every once in a while to make sure it's being used in the right way. And as a reminder, AI is a coach, not a crutch. Ideally, we don't really need AI that much after a while, right? You become an advanced seller, you've learned everything that you need to, and now you are living it in real life without having to rely on it until you come to another complex problem that you haven't seen before, or you're being trained on something new. Question number 2, do we really need custom AI for this to work? You do not need to go and buy a $100,000 AI tool to get your sellers using AI. What you do need is what I told you early in the episode, which is the lessons and the foundations and the frameworks, the AI prompts, and role play. 3, there are so many products out there that you could go spend a ton of money on, or you can invest in the actual training and support for your sellers through human-to-human education, right? Either internally or through someone externally. That's my recommendation. That's where you should be spending your money, not on another tool that somebody has to learn that they're probably not even going to use that much. Now, when I'm talking about all of this, I really am excluding cold email, outbound, AI-generated stuff. So I have a lot of opinions on that, but it's probably for a different episode. But this episode is for your human sellers, your sales teams, your closers to have these types of conversations. Also, prompts must reflect, this is really important, sales stages, your qualification criteria, your deal velocity, everything else that is important to your business. Generic AI advice creates average reps, or even worse, makes them worse than they were before because they're being fed the wrong information. So the deal is that the edge isn't in the tool, it's the thinking you train into it. Question number 3, where should AI show up in the sales process? Now, this specific episode is really focusing on the AE, the closer, etc. I am not focusing on SDRs, BDRs, outbound activity, anything of that. This is very specific to the seller, to the closer. Okay? So where can they support? Post-call debriefs, deal reviews, follow-up drafting, objection analysis, pre-meeting prep. Not discovery when you're actually on a call, right? You could use it to prep for your discovery. But if you're sitting here and you're in the background with AI trying to figure out what to say next, that's horrendous. Okay. So that's not what we're going to do. And I think it's just really mission critical to think of it in this way so that you don't abuse AI, you don't hinder your great sellers by asking them to do something that's going to make them worse, or even worse, a brand new seller that needs to learn the foundations that you've just thrown in AI on. It does not work that way. Period. Let's bring it home. Rascal wrap-up time. Key takeaways and a resource to keep you winning. Alrighty, rascals. Here's the takeaway. Sales training without execution support is an absolute waste of money. AI without leadership is extremely dangerous. But together, that's how you scale skill and not just activity. If you want help building this, I have a few things for you. First of all, I'm going to give you a free resource to go and have some fun with it and build out your stuff. You also can hire our firm to help you with the AI reinforced sales training. And please share this episode with your peers. They can use the prompts, they can use the education here to really get a jump start within their organization. And if you've decided, you know what, Michelle, this is great, really wonderful information, appreciate it, but I need your support, well, that's when you book a call, my friends. And I would love to support you and show you how you can make AI your execution partner for your sellers. And because I love data and because I love citations, I wanted to share a few with you at the end of this episode. So Harvard Business Review said sales reps forget up to 84% of training within 90 days if there is not a reinforcement mechanism. Gartner also said that by 2026, 65% of B2B sales organizations will transition from intuition-based to data-driven selling supported by AI. And McKinsey rounded it up. AI-enabled sales teams see 10 to 15% revenue uplift when paired with process discipline. And we have a free resource for you. So what is it? Well, it's how to prompt your AI bot the right way so sellers are using it as their coach, not their crutch. So you'll see a link below, and that is where you're going to go and download this free resource. And I'm really excited to see all of the impact it can do. And as a quick highlight, I'm going to tell you what's inside and what prompts are included. Prompt number 1 is a framework alignment check, where you will prime that they are a sales execution coach. 2, language precision builder, how to make sure to sound on brand and like a real seller and not an AI bot. Now, we also have post-call debrief prompts in here as well. So call self-assessments, it's in there. We also have decision maker validation to ensure you didn't miss anything. We also provide a deal risk scan. Now, when it comes to follow-up and momentum, we have a follow-up that advances the deal. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend you're using my AVP process. Lots of episodes on that. We also have a stalled deal re-engagement prompt. And my favorite, objection analysis prompts. We have an objection breakdown, objection prevention, which is so advanced for sellers and my most favorite thing ever to teach probably. Now we have pre-call prep prompts as well. So strategic call prep is going to be absolutely mission critical. Now we have performance benchmarking prompts. So this is where reps can do top rep comparison, or yourself as the revenue leader or founder can also do that. You can also identify as a leader, founder, advanced seller, any skill gaps that you have. And of course, we have our leader-only prompts, which will help you rep coach better. So it gives you exactly a brief of how to do it, how to see patterns that are not good for your organization. I call them team pattern detection issues. You'll be able to identify those. The last part of this download is prompts you should absolutely ban within your organization because they weaken sales teams. And I have about 4 or 5 in there that are no bueno. So make sure that you go to the link in the show notes and download it. Till next time, stay rascal. Thanks for listening to Revenue Rascals, where we turn bold ideas into predictable revenue and prove that breaking the rules can still build empires. If you love what you heard, do me a favor. Tap the links in the show notes to support our sponsors. They're the ones keeping this show free so I can keep ungating the six-figure strategies that help you scale faster, lead smarter, and take more freedom home with you. And hey, if you think you'd make an incredible guest or know someone who's built something worth studying, email me at hello@michelleterpstra.com. And until next time, stay sharp, stay bold, and stay just a little bit rascal.